Eish, I've encountered a problem here, and it's my fault. It's basically what happens when your quest for coolness exceeds the matter of functionality and practicality. So some of you might know we're planning to take a flight trip into the desert in a few weeks' time on a camping trip. Well, actually more than camping, there's going to be a lot of racing as well. Yes, we are joining some other petrol heads at a secret location in the middle of nowhere on a dry, dusty pan. There's going to be a lot of burnouts and donuts and quarter mile racing and general chaos and pandemonium. It's going to be a lot of fun. You must look out for that one. That's the name of the event as well, Pandemonium. So anyway, so now we've discovered that when we load the truck with all our gear, you might recall in a previous video I built that canvas canopy so that we can have it all protected and enclosed. Now when she's loaded up, the back tires catches against the inside of the fenders very badly when you hit a bump. Lots of smoke and screeching noises and all of that. So that's not going to do. I'm going to have to do something about that. In my defense, Your Honor, she was never built to be a load carrier, just a cruiser and a small parts hauler. There is that. And then also the tires that we're running now, you can see it's got a very sharp corner here, if I can put it like that. My previous set of tires had a much more rounded profile, and it's actually just this sharp corner that touches on the inside of the fender right there. Well, I'm not going to change tires. These are still almost brand new, so we're going to come up with another solution. You can see here on the inside of the fender right there, that's where the rear tires are rubbing when she's carrying a load. Some of you might recognize the shape of these fenders. Yes, they used to be Beetle front fenders that has obviously been reworked. The headlight used to sit there. This is all closed up and chopped and changed. If you're not familiar with this build, I'm going to stick a link here on the screen and you can go and see how this came about. Flytrap rear wheel versus the Reno bug. It's hard to imagine that both these rims are 15-inch. Just look at the size difference here. It's ridiculous. So I reckon the easiest solution would be to lengthen these rear shackles some. Yes, I know it's going to lift up the back end of the truck a little bit, but I'm cool with that. It'll just make it look even more ridiculous. So I've already got these nuts undone. So I'm going to take them out and then make longer ones, and then we see how that turns out. I got the one out, clean it up with a wire brush, and I can see that it's actually quite worn on that bottom plate. So I'm going to knock these pins out. And we can make a new plate here as well. These pins, yeah, they're not in the best of shape. They are a little worn, but I'm just going to live with them for now. To find new ones is going to take a search, and I don't have the time for that now. And I could make new ones, but I don't have the material for that either. So I'm going to live with these for now. Yeah. So I must make 2 new shackle plates, no, 4. And I just need to decide what their length needs to be. Right, so I made a quick full-size drawing here on an old piece of plywood. I took measurements off the truck. That there represents my rear axle. There's my leaf spring. And then a critical dimension is the distance between this pivot point and the center of the axle. And then also the distance from the center of the axle to the pivot point here on the shackle. So I'm figuring a straight line that is represented by this stick will help me figure things out. So I've got it swiveling around that front pivot point where the spring attaches to the frame. And now I line the back up with the existing pivot point where the shackle connects. Now if I move this point down by a set distance, that is effectively how much I will raise the truck, or then for that matter, how much additional clearance I will gain between the tire and the fender. And then I can come this side and measure what the distance is that I must lengthen the shackle by. Yeah, I think that can work. I'm sure if you're a rocket scientist, you will tell me that this is not 100% accurate, but you know what? It's good enough for our purposes. Close enough. So I'm thinking a 25 mm 1 inch additional clearance will be good. That should be there somewhere. Let's play it safe and go down to 30 mm. Now let's go measure here by the shackle side. So a 30 mm change on the axle takes me to that line over there. So this distance here is how much I need to lengthen my shackle by. And I measure here in the region of about 55, 56 millimeters. So that is the additional length I have to add to my shackle. 55 millimeters. So the original Nissan hardbody shackle is 40 millimeters wide, 6 millimeters thick, and it measures center to center 70 millimeters. So 70 plus the 55 I measured or calculated gives me 125. That will be my new center to center distance. So here's the new one I made. 125 millimeters center to center. And it's also a bit wider than the original one. I only had 50 by 6 flat bar, but a little extra material is not going to hurt. And especially since the thing is a little bit longer, we can't go wrong. So our brother Daniel Hughes, who is an iron worker in San Francisco, if memory serves, tells me that he's been using soap as a cutting fluid for years and it works very well. So let's give it a try. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I like it. I can just go and steal the stuff from my wife. Yes, I'm going to use it from now on. Thanks, Daniel. That was a nice tip. Smells like a laundry in here now. Okie dokie. My 2 sets of shackles are made. And mine is stronger and prettier than those. Pin through there, this shackle on there, and we have a complete shackle assembly. This pin has got splines here, so it was a spline fit on that original plate there, and that was basically to prevent it from turning when you tighten the nut. But now here on my new shackle plate, it's a loose fit. As you can see, I can rotate it because I didn't have the exact drill size to pull their trick. But 2 tacks to prevent the pins from turning will do the job just as well, in my opinion. A little bit of paint to impress the undercarriage inspectors for a short while. a little bit of red rubber grease on these pins to prevent corrosion and stop squeaks. This stuff is especially formulated for use with rubber components. It doesn't contain mineral oil, which is not compatible with rubber and polyurethane. So lengthened shackles can be problematic, and the longer they are, the bigger the possibility of them becoming problematic. And if you've got worn bushings and pins, it will just add to that potential problem. So my bushings are still in pretty good nick. There's a little bit of wear on these pins, so we'll have to see how it turns out. Okie dokie, the new spring shackles are in place and tightened up. The wheels are back on, jack stands are out. Let's get this puppy back on its feet. Yes, kind of hard to see it, but if I stick my hand in here, yes, I can feel the difference. I've gained my extra 30 millimeters of clearance. Mission accomplished. So now the arse of this whole thing is up with another inch and a bit, maybe 30 millimeters or so. And that just adds to the semi-ridiculous cartoon-like stance of the fly trap here. So I'm cool with that. Of course, my bigger back wheels, in comparison to the smaller front wheels, helps a lot to add to that whole effect. 31 10.5 15s in the back and 195 14s in the front. Our family pitching in to help clear the site. We're burning some stuff. I've got my wife Ellie, my daughter Chrissy and son-in-law Jason. The pyromaniac in all of us is coming out now. Those two girls don't take any shit. Well, you know, I've always wanted to add a tow bar, and seeing as old fly trap is standing here in the fitting rooms, let's see if we can do something about that quickly. I'm going to take off this rear. I'm not even sure what you call this thing. I know there's a name for it, but I have now forgotten. Blame it on my grey beard. So must just get this one out as well. And then this whole contraption should be able to come right off. I've already undone some of the other fasteners. Here we go. Yes, lots of dust in here from all my dirt road driving, but then I don't build trailer queens. My new spring shackles are still shiny for a short while. So this here is where the frame ends. So I figure if I weld on a piece of flat bar, something like this, to extend it outwards would be a good start. Yeah, this is a little bit thin. I think something 3/8 10 millimeter thick will do the trick. Yes, and now the back wheels are off again because Wayne has decided he wants to check and adjust the brakes. Huh?
Yeah, well, we need brakes, don't we?
Well, we got brakes.
Okay, we need a handbrake.
Okay, well the handbrake doesn't work so lacquer, so he's gonna just check and everything. That's not a bad thing to do, eh?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks,
Next to Tim's nice warm oil heater.
Thanks, my brother. Adjusting the handbrake cables. So that we can make some handbrake turns on the pan.
Yeah.
Although in some places they call it the e-brake. Did you know that?
The e-brake.
Yeah, as in emergency brake.
Oh, right. Yes, that I do know, yes.
Yeah. So how's it looking?
No, it's looking good. Now I must get out and test.
Cool.
Right.
So while Wayne is busy messing with the brakes, I've been making these hefty brackets That's quite thick, 12 millimeters, half an inch by 60 wide. That's what I could find. It will do. Okay, I got the whole root pass, filler pass, 3-pass business in place. That thing's not going anywhere. Slapped on some chassis black. That will get coated very nicely in some desert dust down the line. Talking about this stuff. Nasty, sticky and smelly. Not a product for a trailer queen, but in my humble opinion, a very effective undercarriage protection product. A natural asphalt based black paint with a gloss finish that applies as a fast drying protective coat for the underside of motor vehicles. No primer required, it sticks to anything. I've applied it over rust and years later it's still looking good. It doesn't chip from stones. So yeah, for effective but not exactly pretty protection, this is a good product. Okay, lekker man, so now this rear panel can go back into place. Obviously I had to cut these slots for it to go over my bracket. Something like that. I seem to recall that this is known as a roll pan in certain parts of the world. Not quite sure now. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Let's get this dusty spare wheel back into place. Then everything is back together again. That's why I have this pimple thing here. Spare wheel fits in right under it. Yeah, I love it or hate it. It is what it is. A little bit more. Here we go. Now I can start thinking about building my tow bar. Yeah, the front oil seal on that diff is not what it used to be. Hey, but it's not leaking oil, it's just marking its territory. So now the plan is to build that tow bar that can bolt to my brackets. And now I'm thinking that some of you are probably wondering why I don't build a tow bar that bolts to the chassis the way it's normally done. Now you might have recalled from previous video that the space there in there behind the rear spring perch brackets is very limited. You can't really get bolts in there. When I built this old truck, I cut the original Nissan frame rails really short in the back there. So yeah, it is what it is. But anyway, there are no rules. Normal boring. It's just a rat rod. So I'm going to be building something that will bolt onto here.
2 hours later.
I've already made all the parts I need. I found this piece of blue pipe on my scrap heap. It's more like a treasure trove to me. It's got a diameter of about 60 millimeters, nice thick wall thickness, about 5 mil. That'll be plenty strong. Made all these brackets as well. This is 8 millimeter thick material. That'll do. So especially with the thicker stuff, pieces like this is my source of material. When I go to town, I always make a turn at the junkyard and sniff around there. Pick up pieces like this one. This blue piece of pipe also comes from there. I mean, the price of steel is ridiculous these days. And if you buy junk like this from the junkyard, yeah, you save a lot of money. The price you have to pay when working with scrap from the junkyard the time, consumables and dirty hands to get rid of all the old paint and rust, but still worth it in my opinion. So I can't have my piece of pipe going across at the level of the brackets because it's just too high off the ground. With this ridiculously high back end of this truck. So these two brackets that's bolted on is dropping it down to a more acceptable level. So the tow ball will be able to sit here. I've got everything in place. It's all looking good, so I think I'm going to tack this together and then we can take it from there. You know, I've got a pretty good collection of bolts. Every time I go to Mesco Engineering Supplies, I stock up on a few extra different sizes to grow my collection. But for some reason, I just never have the right bolt. You never have the one you want. Do you guys have the same problem? So, yeah, I'm just using these rusty bolts. We'll replace them with the proper high tensile bolts next time I go shopping. Anyway, I've got this whole thing tacked together now. So I think I'm going to take it off and weld it up on the bench. It will be just so much easier.
1 hour later.
So I don't know how you think about it, but I certainly lose interest in a video if I have to watch 15 minutes of welding. So I just quickly got this done so that we can get it back onto the truck. Okay, lekker man. We can tow things now. And if I live long enough, I'd like to build a little custom trailer for this thing one day. Not exactly a thing of beauty. But by the time it's rusted, it will blend in a little bit better. Certainly practical. Can be used as a step for getting on the back. And practicality is the first priority here.
A few inches later.
So the sunriser we built last week is fitted. And my instant rust treatment now makes it blend in nicely with the rest of this old rust bucket. I think I would like to add a little bit of this greenish paint to it down the line, but that will be another time. I got my canvas canopy done and that's fitted. So we are almost ready for our trip. We are planning to leave next week Thursday. Still got to pack our stuff and tools and whatnot and whatnot. I can't wait. And you can be sure that we'll be taking you along. And as for the Reno bug, well, I got the blessings from the Swimbo. This event is a big one on my bucket list. And she cool if we don't work on the Reno bug for a while. But you can be sure we'll get back to the Reno bug once this event is done and dusted. As always, thanks for hanging out with me out here in the shop. I enjoyed your company. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, have a lucky one, my brothers and sisters.
Whatever makes you happy, it just depends.